repeat of one of the javelin throws in the decathlon.
In fact, David, it's in the javelin final itself. It's Harkonen of Finland who has just taken the lead with a throw of just over 85 metres. The distance hasn't been confirmed yet, but because the scoreboard isn't actually working out there. But Harkonen was the top qualifier with just over 86 metres, and obviously showed very good form, and that is the actual throw just over the 85-metre line to take the lead.
Which gives us a chance now to speculate on...
This is a recording of the leading throw. Heino Puuste of the Soviet Union, wearing 924, was 89 metres and 56 centimetres, and we see that recording just as David Ottley has thrown around about 70 metres. So Puuste, 6'2", 27 years old, has got a best of just over 90, has taken the lead. So Russia are 1 and 2 in the javelin about halfway through the first round. And in the decathlon,
1 and 2 in the javelin at the moment. I wonder if this gentleman will change all that.
Well, actually, Ron, this is a man who impressed me purely from the point of view of his credentials. He's 6'6", he's 20 years old, and he's last year's European junior champion. Hohn of the German Democratic Republic, the new East German find, and that one he's launched outside the sector, and that's what happens when you catch the wind all wrong. But he has great potential. He's thrown just short of 90 metres this season, and with that sort of stature, then I think we can expect to see just a little bit more from him in this competition. Of this stadium, absolutely right for the javelin throw. Unlike the qualification, and Steve Pearson had tremendous difficulty and managed only 69 metres, but really that wasn't a true reflection of his throwing ability. The wind was very difficult indeed. Took his javelin and tossed it about and made it stall so badly below 70 metres.
And he's just warming up. Meanwhile, 912, Makarov gets ready to throw.
Well, another piece of evidence of the depth of Russian javelin throwing. He's another 86-metre thrower, and he's the third ranked. Carries the javelin very much over the shoulder, and that's an enormous throw, and that's about 86 metres, and he could well be in second place with that. 89.56 by Puuste, 85.88 by the Olympic champion Kula, and now Makarov takes over in the second place. So the Soviet Union now in first, second and third. And Ron, that smacks of Janis Lusis days, doesn't it? The man who dominated the European javelin competition for so many European championship occasions.
Indeed. Here's a look at Makarov. He seems to hold it very high on his hand. He doesn't have it flat on the heel of his hand, which surprised me. Almost a sort of pen holder grip. Slightly bent arm too, but he's certainly got a lot of purchase on it as it goes. Janis Lusis, of course, 4 times in succession the European champion. The word dominance by the Finns was sort of ruined by Lusis. Finland, up until then, have had 16 world records.
The German Democratic Republic is perhaps the favourite, having seen almost a 90-metre throw from Puuste, the Russian, 89.56, 293 feet 10. But this 26-year-old plumber, the East German record holder, has an unorthodox approach. It's very slow, just as Wolfgang Hanisch was slow, and tremendously fast arm. But there's evidence of the effect that a wrong angle of projection can have against this wind in the centre. Just as Steve Pearson used to master the wind, even the greats like Michel, who's thrown 94 metres and 52 centimetres this year, is having difficulty in this difficult condition. So the Russians still in first, second and third position. 89 metres and 56 is 293 feet 10, and there Makarov in second place, Kula in third, the Olympic champion in third, the Finn Harkonen in fourth with 85. So that's the target for Dave Ottley, and Dave Ottley knows that no Briton has ever made the top 8 in a European javelin final, so there's a lot for him to work for. The last person to feature at all was Dave Travis back in the European Championships in 1969 when they were last held here in Athens. Champion Dainis Kula of the Soviet Union, 85 metres and 88 in the first round, and he's now in the second round in third place. He's 23 years old, 6 feet 2 3/4, very much a surprise winner in the Moscow Olympics. He went on, though, to consolidate his position in winning the World Cup in 1981. And we saw him, we've seen him in England, in Gateshead, throwing 90 metres and 54. So for those of you that are at Gateshead, will remember that occasion. That's 297 feet, and we don't get too many of those. And he's coached by Janis Lusis, who holds the European Championship record of 91 metres and 52, set in Athens in 1969. He's just waiting for the tannoy system to settle down. The Olympic champion composing himself. Very fast, and then steadies himself and launches it. And that's a good throw. And that's about 87, I would think, and he's moved into second place. The lead still held by Puuste, his teammate, at 89 metres and 56. That's 293 feet 10. But that'll...
Javelin still in progress, of course. And the wind seems to have dropped a little bit, Stuart. The conditions still difficult, though.
There's been a change. This is Ghesini of Italy, incidentally. Is below 80 metres on his previous throw. That looks a little better. It was a very high, but it still dropped short, and 79.92 is best. I was just about to say that Harkonen almost broke the Russian domination, 86 metres and 76 in this third round. It's 284 feet 8. But the lead still held by Puuste of the Soviet Union, with Kula in second place. Hohn, incidentally, has broken the domination, just checking at the computer chart, with 87 metres and 58. Hohn, the youngster, 20-year-old East German, the new find, through 87 metres and 58 in the second round. That's 287 feet 4. So they're the first three places. And we're waiting for Puuste, the leader. There he is, 9.24. And had a no-throw in the second round, and now looking for the 90-metre throw, which he honestly looked as though he was capable of. Fourth in the Moscow Olympic final, third in last season's World Student Games, but he's obviously had a very good winter training, as one would expect from a mechanical engineer. Very fast approach, and then a tremendously fast launch, but it's all gone wrong. And once again, a 90-metre thrower becomes a 65-metre thrower by virtue of the just one or two of the mechanical things going wrong at that critical point when the release of the javelin is to be made. But Puuste nevertheless still leads with 89 metres and 56. He's just short of the magic 300 feet. And he'll be followed by David Ottley for Great Britain. David, who has this last throw to attempt to get into the last 8, but it's not looking good, I have to say that.
By the way, Gary Coast's time in qualifying for the final was 49.03. And now David Ottley.
Well, David nowhere near the 80-metre mark today, and yet in more difficult conditions yesterday in qualification, he exceeded the 80-metre line 3 times, having 2 throws adjudged to be flat, and the third one, which looked about the same, adjudged good, although I must say that both Ron Pickering and myself both thought that all 3 were as near to valid throws as you can get. So David, his final throw, his third throw, but it could be his final throw unless he can get over 80 metres. And he's lost it. It's only down at about 75, and a disappointed young man who, after yesterday's qualification, must have been looking forward to this final, where the wind looks to be far more controlled. Well, the situation hasn't changed at all. We've got the Russian, Puuste, in the lead, and never more fitting than on his 27th birthday. He's got 3 more rounds to go, and there is a hold-up in that javelin competition at the moment as they sort out the top 8. But at the moment, Puuste is leading with 89 metres and 56, with Dainis Kula of the Soviet Union in second place with 87 metres and 84, with Uwe Hohn of the German Democratic Republic in third with 87 metres and 58. And the bad news is that David Ottley has gone out of the final, throwing way below par. And that was disappointing for him after yesterday's qualification. That's the sort of wind that the long jumpers on the far...
in position. And now in the javelin,
Harkonen of Finland, one of the men who could threaten the lead, and that throw around about 86. It's about 3 meters down on the lead. He shakes his head, he's not happy, but he's in there with a chance. And that Harkonen, incidentally, one of two Finns in this final, and what a reputation they've had in the past in breaking records, but they've very seldom achieved the major championship, and that must be disappointing for us. 4 years ago, Toivonen of Finland, one of the two Finns in this final, has launched it, but at the wrong angle once again, and the wind has taken its toll, and the stall, evidence of that toll, and the distance achieved somewhere in the region of, say, 60 meters. The first line, to give some indication of the standard here, is at 80 meters.
Harkonen of Finland, one of two giant Finns in this. I was saying the 30s belong to Javelin, and their Olympic Stadium stands a tribute to Javelin with the tower that dominates. Stands at 72 meters, the height of his world record throw. Now what can Harkonen throw? And it looks longish. It's going over 85 meters, stopping just short. At 84.50, 278 feet. Still, it's impressive to hark back on the fact that Lusis is the only man that's thrown over 300 feet in this championship. There's the breakdown.
Puuste still leading, with Kula, the Olympic champion, in second place, and the young East German, Uwe Hohn, breaking the Russian domination at the top with 87 meters and 58 in third place at the moment. Harkonen, who just saw a throw, 86 meters and 76 in fourth, and Makarov, the other Russian, in fifth. That's the tail enders, and you see David Ottley there at 75 meters and 6 centimeters.
Second, who incidentally is Puuste of the Soviet Union in the javelin, and it's hovering and coming down at about 84.75, just short of 85 meters. Will not affect the result at the moment. And just looking, there's Puuste, Estonian, one of a great crop they've got at the moment of Soviet throwers, with the influence of Janis Lusis behind them, coaching them. Good to see him in Moscow. Now, an important javelin throw.
Important run, because this is a recording of Uwe Hohn, who's just thrown over 90 meters and taken the lead in the fifth round. And he really was very close to the championship record, which has stood since 1969. 91 meters and 34, he's only just missed it, and he's still got one more throw. Michel of East Germany, the man we expected to lead in this javelin event, has had his East German record challenged, but now he's coming through on the fifth round to challenge the Russians who dominated the earlier round. 91.34 to Uwe Hohn is the leading throw, and that looked to be about 86 meters for Detlef Michel.
It's time now for Dainis Kula, the Olympic champion, because he's lying back now in third spot. One throw to go. This is the final throw for him. He has to beat Uwe Hohn's performance of 91 meters 34 achieved in the fifth round. He has to beat that in order to secure this European title. If anyone can do it, of course it's him. He's thrown really big distances in the past, and it's always possible there's one big one still left there in that arm of his. How it goes, it looks a soft one to me. It's a very soft one indeed, and indeed it is. It lands just over the 85 meter mark, and so his chances have gone.
Detlef Michel, the last thrower in this javelin competition, and he hasn't got a medal at the moment. And can he do something about it? And I think the answer is yes, he can. Oh, he could well have got the silver. So often Michel has done well on the last throw. The lead by his teammate Uwe Hohn, 91 meters and 34. Second place to Puuste at 89 meters and 56, and it will really be very close indeed. Very gentle, absolutely still, no real speed in the approach, but then he launches himself in those final phases, and the end result, well, he looked as though he was going to go And final result of the javelin, Uwe Hohn, the young East German, 91 meters and 34, just outside the championship record, ahead of Puuste of the Soviet Union, 89 meters and 56, and Detlef Michel of the German Democratic Republic, 89.32 in third. Kula, the Olympic champion, on this occasion in fourth place. But what a good tussle it proved to be. The Russians dominated the early rounds, and then the East Germans came through. Hohn in the